Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Spark Podcast. I'm Mark, your host, and this podcast is for advanced English learners, those of you at C1 and C2 levels. Today, we're discussing renewable energy, a topic that's not just relevant for the environment, but also full of useful vocabulary and expressions for those looking to improve their English.
That's right, Mark. Renewable energy isn't just about wind turbines or solar panels. It's also a fascinating subject full of cutting-edge technology and global significance. And of course, we'll keep it interactive, so grab your notebook and get ready to participate.
Let's start with a quick question for all of you listening. What is renewable energy? Take a moment to think about how you would explain it in English. Feel free to pause the podcast if you need a moment.
Got your answer? Well, renewable energy refers to power generated from natural resources that can be replenished over time, like sunlight, wind, or water. Unlike fossil fuels such as coal or oil, these sources don't run out, and they're much cleaner for the environment.
Exactly. And speaking of fossil fuels, here's another question for you. Can you think of some examples of fossil fuels and why they're considered non-renewable? Go ahead and think about it.
If you thought of coal, oil, and natural gas, you're spot on. These resources take millions of years to form, so once we use them up, they're gone for good. That's why renewable energy is so crucial for the future.
Let's switch gears a bit and focus on some advanced vocabulary related to renewable energy. As a C1 to C2 learner, you're probably familiar with basic terms, but let's challenge you with a few more complex words and phrases. First up, sustainability. John, can you explain what this means?
Of course, sustainability refers to meeting our current needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. It's a key concept when discussing renewable energy. You might say, for example, we need to adopt more sustainable energy practices to reduce our carbon footprint.
Perfect. Here's another one for you. Carbon neutral. This is a term you'll hear a lot in the context of environmental issues. To be carbon neutral means balancing the amount of carbon dioxide emissions produced with an equivalent amount of carbon removal. Repeat after me. Carbon neutral.
And another key term is renewable energy infrastructure. This refers to the physical systems needed to generate and distribute renewable energy, such as wind farms, solar grids, and hydropower stations. It's a bit more advanced, but useful for discussing how countries are transitioning to cleaner energy.
Here's your challenge. Try to use these terms, sustainability, carbon neutral, and renewable energy infrastructure, in a sentence about your own country's energy policies. You can even write your sentence down and check your accuracy later. Now that we've covered the basics and some key vocabulary, let's discuss the pros and cons of renewable energy. There's no doubt that it's beneficial, but it's not without its challenges.
That's right, let's start with the pros. One of the biggest advantages of renewable energy is that it produces little to no greenhouse gases. Unlike coal or oil, wind and solar energy don't emit carbon dioxide during energy generation. Here's a question for you listeners. Why is reducing greenhouse gases important for fighting climate change?
Great. Reducing greenhouse gases helps slow down global warming, which is essential for maintaining ecosystems and human life. But let's switch to the cons for a moment. One of the main drawbacks of renewable energy is its reliability. Solar energy, for example, is dependent on weather conditions. If it's cloudy, energy production drops. Here's another interactive question. What do you think is the biggest challenge for renewable energy in your country?
That's a great question to reflect on. Every country has its unique challenges when it comes to adopting renewable energy, from lack of infrastructure to financial costs.
Now let's have a quick debate. Renewable energy is undoubtedly important, but some people argue it's not enough to solve our energy problems. On one side, renewable energy is seen as the solution to climate change. On the other, people argue that without advancements in storage technologies and grid systems, it won't be reliable enough to meet global demand.
So, here's a debate topic for you. Do you think renewable energy alone is enough to power the world in the future? Or do we need a combination of different energy sources? Think about your answer and try to explain it in English.
John, what do you think?
I'd say we definitely need a combination for now. Until storage technologies, like better batteries, catch up, We'll likely need some backup systems in place, but the future is looking bright.
All right, let's wrap things up with a quick quiz to test your understanding of today's episode. I'll ask 3 questions, and you'll have a few seconds to answer. Ready?
Here we go. Question 1. What's the main difference between renewable and non-renewable energy sources?
Answer. Renewable energy sources can naturally replenish, while non-renewable sources take millions of years to form.
Next question. Give one example of a renewable energy source.
Answer. Examples include solar energy, wind energy, hydropower, or geothermal energy.
Last question. What is the term for reducing carbon emissions to zero?
Answer. That's carbon neutral. That's it for today's episode of English Spark Podcast. I hope you've learned not only more about renewable energy, but also some useful vocabulary and expressions that you can use in your own English practice.
Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to interact with us on social media. Tell us what you thought of the episode, or even share your answers to today's quiz. Use the hashtag English Spark Podcast so we can find your responses.
Until next time, keep learning and stay curious. Goodbye.